Hello, hello, hello. A very warm welcome to another episode of Special English Corner. I'm your host, Mark, and I am feeling full of energy today. My coffee's hot, the sun is out, and my heart is ready for a big adventure.
And I'm Sharon. Hi, Mark. Hi, everyone. I'm so excited because today we are traveling. We aren't using a plane, a train, or a car. We are traveling with something much more powerful, a book.
That is the best way to travel, Sharon. It's cheap, it's fast, and you can stay in your pajamas. Today, we are talking about one of the most famous books in the history of literature. It is called 100 Years of Solitude.
In its original Spanish, the title is Cien Años de Soledad. It was written by the legendary Gabriel García Márquez. Most of his fans simply call him Gabo. It's a name that sounds like a warm hug.
Gabo, I love it. Sharon, this book is at the top of every must-read list, but many people say it's a bit scary or difficult. Is that true for beginners?
Well, Mark, let's be honest. It has a lot of characters, and many of them have the same names. There are so many men named Aureliano and so many named José Arcadio. Sometimes your brain feels like it's in a maze.
But that's why we are here. Listeners, don't worry about the names today. We aren't going to give you a test. We are going to talk about the magic, the heart, and the incredible man who created this world.
And as always, we will use simple English and speak slowly. We want you to enjoy this magical journey to South America with us.
Let's start at the beginning. Who was Gabriel García Márquez? Was he born a famous genius?
Not at all, Mark. He was born in 1927 in a tiny, dusty town called Aracataca in Colombia. Back then, it was a quiet place near the Caribbean coast.
I heard his parents weren't around much when he was a baby. Who raised him?
His grandparents, and this is the secret to his writing. He lived in a big old house full of stories. His grandfather was a retired army colonel who fought in real wars. He took Gabo to see the circus and told him about the history of Colombia.
So the grandfather was the teacher of reality. What about the grandmother?
Oh, the grandmother, Tranquilina, was the teacher of ghosts. She talked to the spirits of dead relatives every day. If a bird flew into the house, she thought it was a message from heaven. She told the most impossible stories with a completely serious face.
So Gabo grew up in a house where war and ghosts were both normal.
Exactly. When he grew up and became a writer, he didn't want to choose between the two. He combined the hard facts of his grandfather and the wild dreams of his grandmother. This is how he created magical realism.
Magical realism. It sounds like a strange soup. How can something be magical and real at the same time?
It's a way of looking at the world, Mark. In a normal book, if a man is sad, it might rain. But in magical realism, if a man is sad, it might rain for 4 years, 11 months, and 2 days.
So the feelings are real, but the way they are shown is magical.
Precisely. Let's look at a famous example from the book. There's a character named Mauricio Babilonia. Whenever he appears, thousands of yellow butterflies follow him. In our world, that's impossible. In Macondo, his girlfriend just complains about the mess the butterflies make.
That is so funny. It's like when a beautiful girl in the book, Remedios the Beauty, literally flies up to heaven while she is doing the laundry.
Yes, and her family isn't amazed by the miracle. They're just upset because she took the expensive bed sheets with her. They watched her go into the clouds and said, "There go our best sheets."
That is the heart of the style. The impossible happens, but people react like it's just another Tuesday. It makes the world feel much more colorful and alive. Now, let's talk about the place, Macondo. Is it a real town I can visit?
You won't find it on a map of Colombia, but if you go to Aracataca, you will feel it. Macondo is a fictional town that Gabo built in his mind.
The book follows the Buendia family for 7 generations. That's a massive story.
It starts when the world is young. At the beginning of Macondo, things were so new that many objects didn't even have names. If you wanted to talk about something, you had to point your finger at it.
That is such a beautiful image. It's like the Garden of Eden. And then the town grows. They see the arrival of the gypsies, then the government, then the wars, and finally a big fruit company.
Yes, the Banana Company. This part is based on real, sad history. It shows how big businesses can change a small town forever.
And throughout all this, we see the first scene of the book, which is perhaps the most famous sentence in literature.
Many years later, as he faced the firing squad, Colonel Aureliano Buendia was to remember that distant afternoon when his father took him to discover ice.
Ice. For us, it's just something in a drink, but for them, in a hot jungle, it was a miracle. They touched it and thought it was a giant diamond. It shows how wonder can be found in the simplest things. Sharon, let's look at the word solitude. It's in the title. Why are these people so lonely? They have huge families and live in a big house.
Solitude is the theme of the whole book. Even when the Buendias are together, they're alone. They don't know how to love properly. They hide their feelings. They build walls around their hearts.
Is that why they keep giving their children the same names? Aureliano, Jose Arcadio, over and over?
Yes, Gabo is showing us that time is not a straight line. In Macondo, time is a circle. The children repeat the mistakes of their parents. They fight the same wars and feel the same sadness.
There's even a part where the whole town gets an insomnia plague, right? They can't sleep.
And because they can't sleep, they start to forget. They forget the names of things, so they have to put labels on everything. They put a sign on a cow that says, "This is a cow. It must be milked every morning."
That is a warning from Gabo. He's saying that if we forget our past and our history, we lose our souls. We become truly alone. I love the story of how Gabo actually wrote the book. He wasn't sitting in a fancy office, was he?
No, it was a time of great sacrifice. He was living in Mexico City with his wife, Mercedes, and their 2 sons. One day, he had a vision of the whole book while he was driving. He turned the car around and went home.
And then he locked himself in a room?
For 18 months, he smoked 60 cigarettes a day and wrote constantly. He quit his job. He had no money.
How did they eat? How did they pay rent?
Because of Mercedes, she was the manager of the miracle. She sold their car, their furniture, their heater, and even their kitchen tools. Near the end, she even sold her hairdryer.
When he finally finished, they went to the post office to send the manuscript to Argentina, but they were still poor.
They didn't have enough money to mail the whole book, so they sent the first half. Later, they realized they had sent the second half by mistake, but the publisher loved it so much, he sent them money to get the rest.
When the book came out in 1967, it was like a bomb exploded, right?
A literary bomb. It was translated into dozens of languages. People in Japan, Russia, and Italy were all crying over the story of a small town in Colombia.
And then came the Nobel Prize in 1982.
That was a huge moment for Latin America. Usually, authors wear very formal black clothes to meet the King of Sweden, but Gabo wore a white liki-liki. It's a simple traditional suit from his home.
He wanted to show the world that his culture was just as important as European culture. He brought the magic of the Caribbean to the world stage. We have a record number of questions today. Let's get through them. Q1 from Maria in Spain. Is the book too long for a beginner?
Take it slow, Maria. Read it like a collection of short stories. Each chapter is a new adventure. Don't worry if you forget who is who.
Q2 from Ahmed in Egypt. Why do the characters live so long? Ursula lives over 100 years.
In Macondo, your will to live can keep you alive. Ursula is the glue of the family. She stays alive because she knows the house will fall apart without her.
Q3 from Chloe in France. What is the meaning of the yellow flowers?
Yellow was Gabo's favorite color. For him, it represented the sun and life. But in the book, when the patriarch dies, yellow flowers fall from the sky like rain. It's a magical way to show goodbye.
Q4 from Ken in Japan. Should I read it in English first?
My guess is that yes, the English translation by Gregorio Rabasa is famous. Even Gabo said it was better than the Spanish version. So yes, try it in English.
Q5 from Boris in Russia. What is the sleeping sickness?
It's a symbol of losing our memory. When we forget where we came from, we lose our identity.
Q6 from Linda in the USA. He is the gypsy who brings technology to the town. He is like a magician, but he also represents science and the outside world.
Yes, it shows that power can make people lonely and cruel. Colonel Aureliano fights 32 wars and loses them all, but he loses his soul more than the wars.
Because in Latin America, history is so wild and strange that normal writing isn't enough to describe it.
It is bittersweet. It has moments of great laughter and moments of deep sadness, just like real life.
Definitely. The descriptions are very clear and visual. You will learn words for colors, smells, and nature.
You might think, why should I read about a town that doesn't exist?
But Sharon, Macondo is everywhere. When we look at our phones and forget to talk to our friends, that is a kind of solitude.
When we see amazing technology but forget the beauty of a butterfly, we are like the people of Macondo discovering ice.
Gabo's writing reminds us that life is a miracle. It tells us that our stories, even the small ones, are part of a grand history.
We have talked a lot today, Mark.
1. The author, a boy who combined his grandfather's war and his grandmother's ghosts. 2. The style, magical realism, where the bedsheets fly and butterflies follow lovers. 3. The theme, solitude and how to avoid it by remembering our past. 4. The lesson, life is short, only 100 years, so we must spend it loving and connecting.
To our beginners, don't let the classic label scare you. Gabo wrote for the people. He wrote for you.
Pick up a copy, find a quiet corner, and let yourself get lost in the jungle of Macondo. Thank you for joining us at Special English Corner. We hope this episode added a little magic to your day.
Check our learning plan and the new vocabulary list in the canvas.
Until next time, stay curious and stay magical.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.